If your employer offers a student loan repayment assistance benefit, you might be thrilled. You might be super excited. You might think this is the best thing since sliced bread. But you need to be a little cautious because there are some situations where employer student loan repayment assistance can actually be a bad thing, or it can at least hurt you a lot more than it benefits you financially. So I'm going to show you 5 key ways that employer student loan repayment assistance benefits and programs could actually do more harm than good. The first one is when an employer offers student loan assistance instead of higher wages. So put yourself in the employer's shoes. If you were going to try to come up with ways to keep employees in a tight labor market, what is better than offering a benefit that has an expiration date? You don't want to give people just higher wages. Like, say you're giving a $10,000 annual student loan repayment benefit, which would be way more than what most employers give. Would you rather give that, or would you rather give $10,000 in wages? There's no extra special deduction that you get as a borrower for getting that kind of a benefit. So why would you care, if you're an employer, and why would you want to give a repayment benefit rather than wages? Because the wages are permanent and also might require extra matching contributions on a 401k, might require extra payroll taxes that you're getting paid into Social Security, which is going to raise your lifetime benefit with Social Security probably. So those are things that probably help you a lot more than a student loan repayment benefit. But if you can get an employee to value the two things equally, then you would much rather, as an employer, pay a student loan benefit instead of wages. So really, if an employer is giving you a repayment benefit, that's because they're not giving you higher wages, and you really want to try to make sure you're getting higher wages, not student loan repayment benefits, if you're having to choose between the two. The second reason that you can get hurt from a student loan benefit at work is when you feel tied down to that job. So imagine that you have the golden handcuffs, right? I'm going to attach the golden handcuffs to my desk. I'm never going to leave. Now, $1,000 student loan repayment benefit might not be that much of a thing. So, if you're tied down to a job because of $1,000 student loan benefit, then obviously you have some issues, I guess. But if it's a big benefit, you really might feel stuck. And if you were not happy in that job and you do not love what you're doing, life's too short. You got to go out and take risks. You got to go and do what you want to do and not feel like you have to stick around just because of a repayment benefit. I've seen some cases, especially for some more extreme forgiveness programs or benefit programs at work, where people will work somewhere and drive a couple hours each day just for a repayment benefit plan, and that's just not worth it. The third way that repayment programs at work can hurt you is when that raises your income-based repayment because you're going for forgiveness. A simple example is this. Repayment benefit programs for student loans at work are considered taxable income. And unless the employer is paying that tax for you, that's going to get included in your taxable income, and that's going to raise your adjusted gross income, which raises your required student loan benefit. Some student loan assistance programs specifically require to use that money on top of whatever you're paying under an income-driven repayment program. So in that case, if you're going for forgiveness, especially something like public service loan forgiveness, where the forgiven balance is gone tax-free after 10 years, you might even end up worse off from being a part of a employer student loan assistance program because it would raise your required payments on something that's going to be forgiven. In the private sector, where you have a 20-year forgiveness period with forgiven debt that's taxable at the end, it still might not be in your interest to accept a program like that because you'll have to pay higher taxes, and if they require you to put the whole amount towards your student loans and pay the taxes out of pocket, you could actually end up being behind after you adjust for the forgiven student loan benefit that you would have gotten. Paying 40% of something in 20 years is a lot better than paying 100% of something right now. And so for employees pursuing student loan forgiveness, a lot of times their employer student loan programs are kind of tone deaf. They don't really understand what the problem is. So I've seen this for entire professions, like veterinarians, for example, get loan benefit programs sometimes that just do not understand the situation veterinarians are in, where the majority of them are pursuing student loan forgiveness. Number 4 is employers will often feature one student loan refinancing company for their benefit program. You need to apply at least 2 or 3 places when you're doing student loan refinancing. But a lot of times, an employer will negotiate a deal with a specific student loan refinancing company where they will recommend that one company to their employees. I'm not privy to those deals, but my guess would be that they might get a discount for offering student loan refinancing if they're doing other benefit programs for that workplace. Maybe the employer gets some sort of special incentive bonus for their employees, which are usually not as good as our incentive bonuses for refinancing at Student Loan Planner. And then also you might see a situation, and I think in rare cases, where the employer might even get a kickback from everybody who refinances through their special link. So you want to be cautious when your employer is saying, use this refinancing firm, because for student loan refinancing, you really do need to shop around, and it's very unlikely that your employer has secured any kind of unique special benefit or deal that's not better somewhere else. The last tip I've got, number 5, about when student loan repayment assistance is not your friend, is when it stops you from taking risk. Remember that as an employee, your returns are very defined. You can't really ever get more than X amount of dollars or promoted to X level, probably. Now, if you could certainly rise to the CEO position and make millions of dollars, but that's not the vast majority of what most people's experience is. Your easiest path to making a lot of money is by being a business owner of some sort, probably, especially if you're a professional that has a high income. Now, if a student loan repayment assistance benefit prevents you from taking risk, that's the exact opposite of what you want to have in your life. So those are the 5 ways that you can really lose out from student loan repayment assistance. To recap, the 5 ways the employer really gets you with these repayment assistance programs. The first option is when they give you a benefit instead of higher wages. Number 2 is when they tie you down to your job and you feel like you can't leave. Option 3 is when you're going for forgiveness, but their payment benefit raises your income-based repayment plan. Reason 4 is when you only get one refinancing company offered to you. And then reason 5 is when you get super risk averse because you feel like you can't leave your job until you get your full benefit from your student loan benefit program at work. So don't fall sucker to these repayment programs. Make sure that you are negotiating for your best interest and not overvaluing these things, and you just recognize them for what they are, which is just a way for employers to try to hold on to employees in a tight labor market. If you have an opinion about this or a different view, leave it in the comments. I'm really interested to hear what you think of employer student loan repayment assistance and if it would make you more or less likely to stick in a job because of it.